What makes lava music in video games sound like a place where failure will result in fiery demise? Well, by the end of this video, you'll understand how classics like Fire Temple from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Lethal Lava Land from Super Mario 64, and Volcano Theme from Super Mario Bros. Wii work so you can compose your own lava and volcano music. Then, I'll create brand new volcano music from scratch and walk you through the process step by step with a twist. I'll only have 1 hour to complete this challenge, and you won't want to miss the final result. Let's get started. All right, we're going to start with Ocarina of Time Fire Temple chanting version, and we're going to check out what we've got here. So I want to know forearm time signature, but I may make notes in other places too. Intro. Marimba, wood, plus sounds, plus chanting and delay. All right, so it's basically an A-B. The intro is actually the A, and then the chanting is the B. Chanting. Time signature, 4/4. Tempo, about 120. Yeah, key. I'm gonna say that's the key we're in. A. Gonna call it A minor. It's a little bit of a stretch to call it an A minor because it's a little bit all over the place, but we're gonna go ahead and call it A minor. Yeah, straight eighths. You got harmony. The wind's kind of whistling in A, which is interesting. So, that's interesting too, because if we think about the key of A, then we would have flat 2, 6, 7, 4, and then flat 2, 6, 7, major 3. So I'm actually gonna count that in the melodies. I'm not gonna really count that as a harmony. There wasn't really harmony as such. I think I will say wind whistles around the A, which is interesting. That's just so cool. All right, melodies, we heard which was going to be flat 2, 6, 7, 4, flat 2 again, and then 6, 7, 3, not flat 3. Flat 7, 1, 2, 1. Flat 7, 1, 2, 1. Flat 7, 1, 2, 1. Flat 7, flat 6, 5. Okay, what instruments? Indeed. Wood, build sounds, glockenspiel, tambourine. Specifically. So the wind's doing a lot of 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5 in terms of the notes it's whistling, which kind of gives us, at least gave me the feeling that it was like, it's an A minor. I didn't even stop to question my assumption it was an A minor, and I guess it's because the wind just said it in my ears, and I was like, yeah, of course, it was an F. But that being said, I don't know if we heard a C. I'm actually matching the notes of the wind on the piano. And what's interesting is we actually haven't heard, as far as I can tell, a really strong C. So I'm actually going to call it the key of A, but I'm going to say it's some type of mode. What mode would we even call that? You know what it is? Like a Mixolydian flat 6. Because basically it's like... I'm going to Midian flat 6 plus both flat 2, and also 7, flat 7, 6, and flat 6. If you're saying that's almost all the colors of the rainbow, you'd be right. All right, cool. That's Ocarina of Time. I'm going to close that window. I feel like I'm not going to come back to that. That was not quite as useful as I was hoping it was going to be, but that might actually inform us with what we're going to hear next, which is Super Mario 64 soundtrack, Lethal Lava Land. Lovely alliteration, and I never lament, languidly losing myself in the unlost lands of being able to use alliteration and label myself as a alliterator. Sweet. Bum, bum, bum. All right, we're in the key of E. Now, what we can hear right now is already a slightly incorrect, but a meme of Indian classical music. You're saying you heard 3 notes. How do you know that's an incorrect meme of Indian classical music? I actually grew up with Indian classical music, and the correct way of doing that would be the correct sequence for the instrument sound, and that sound is a tambura. So I'm going to go ahead and anticipate we're going to have some Indian themed things. So why Indian? Well, we've heard Indian music for things that in places that are hot. So we've heard Indian classical music be used for desert themes. A whole lot of time you'll hear those instruments. So let's check out this lethal lava land. Yeah, tabla, sitar. Oh, again, mode mixture. So we're in tambura, tabla, bansuri, flute, sitar. And I think what's really funny is this literally sounds like a game composer sat down and did the same exact process we're doing with this game composer with like a Ravi Shankar record. It sounds to me like this game composer sat down, listened to a Ravi Shankar record a couple times, was like, okay, got it. And then just went and did that. Because it's like, it's directionally correct. That's really cool. And also fun. And it's also cool to see that like the historic tradition of sitting, listening to someone else's music, and then making your own version of it alive and well with us here today. So there wasn't really an A, B section. There was kind of this intro, which in Indian music, Indian classical music, you call an ālāp. It's like this slow thing where everything kind of starts up and then it kind of hits a beat. And I'm using words like kind of and maybe to soften because, again, and this is interesting, we're actually seeing in both volcanoes that we've listened to here, lava and volcano, that there isn't really a strict like A-B form. It's kind of just flowy. There is an A-B section, but it's not like, for example, a town theme A-B section where it's like, we're in the tonic area, and then it's like, then we're going to the subdominant area, you know, type of a thing. It's not at all that. And to explain a little bit the notes that'll be in the modes here, these are some advanced things. So Mixolydian is going to be the same as a major scale, but instead of scale degree 7, it's going to be scale degree flat 7. So it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. And then there's also like Phrygian major. So Phrygian major is going to be 1, flat 2, major 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. We definitely did hear the flat 2 and the major 3, both present. And something we heard too was like sus4 arpeggio. So it was like that type of a thing. And I'm greatly simplifying right there. But again, directionally, it's kind of what we were hearing. Arts arpeggios plus, it's like sus4 7 arpeggios. And every time I'm trying to find the tempo, I'm not finding where the downbeat is. If you're listening to this and you're ahead of me and you found where the downbeat is, I mean, congratulations. Like, I'm listening to the tabla over here and I'm trying to find some type of pattern that is definable, and I'm actually not finding a pattern. I'm finding sometimes it's groups of 3, groups of 4, groups of 2. I was like, all right, let's just see if we can count how many times the groups of 3 come by in the tabla. And it's like, it's not showing up in terms of pattern I grab. Again, if you're hearing the pattern, great. I'm super stoked for you. This feels to me, time signature, as sort of like just flowy, not really in a time signature. Like, I've no doubt that the digital audio workstation was set to a time signature when they were creating this, but what that time signature was, right now, I'm not sure. And that's part of an ālāp. An ālāp isn't in time. It's all rubato. Flowy, not really in time signature, as far as I can tell. So there's an intro, ālāp, and then it goes to something, just flowy grooves. So we're actually seeing more in common with that Zelda ocarina piece than I thought we were going to, because they're both kind of flowy. They're both not really sitting. Yeah, there was a groove in the Zelda one. Tempo, like, no idea. Not a clue. We're seeing commonalities in the mode mixture that's used between both pieces. And yeah, in terms of the feel is rubato. Yeah, melodies. Yeah, so then there's like some pitch bends and things. which is also mimicking a little bit the Indian vocal style. Ha, 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 stuff like that all the time. Okay, yeah, so I'm actually not hearing any flat sixes yet. So it's like sitar plus pitch bend, which really, you know, on the sitar they do bend and they do little ornaments like that. So that's recreating that style a little bit there. And yeah, so I'm not going to say Phrygian major. I'm going to call it Mixolydian flat 2. What are the notes of that going to be? You might be asking. It's going to be E, F, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E. All right, let's check out Volcano Theme from Super Mario Bros. Wii. Oh yeah. Ah. Wooden percussion again. All right, marimba slash wood. Okay, drum kit, snare, and hi-hats. Bass, harmony. All right, so right there in the A section, we haven't heard anything past it, but we're hearing a flat 2 and a major 3. I'm gonna call it D, Mixolydian flat 2. Now goes to the flat 2. All right, and then in the B section, it goes to E flat. So what we can hear is basically, there's a power chord going on here. There's the drone, which, by the way, goes back to that same idea we heard at the beginning of the Super Mario 64 soundtrack of like those fifths there. There's something about that power chord that sounds, especially in this context, little Indian classical music style, taking us in that direction. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to listen to the melody, see what notes the melody are playing, and see if we have some type of label we can put on what the key is going to be in E flat. If not, we're just going to say the notes that were made and then understand that that's the mode mixture that's going on there. So it's a little all over the place. It's really emphasizing the flat 2 over this E flat. The flat 2 would be like an F double flat, which is enharmonic to an E. So we have an E. I mean, it also goes and like does this B to B flat thing, and it's almost like it's changed keys to B flat. So it's like, again, to be clear, mode mixture. I'm really not able to pinpoint and say, here's the key, here's the key, here's what the notes are. It's mode mixture. Mode mixture, like tonicize 5. And what I mean by tonicize 5 is it like the melody starts circling around 5. And it almost, from a melodic perspective, seems like we've gone to 5, or we're in the key of 5, or we're on the chord of 5, even though everything behind it still is hanging out on this E flat power chord, also known as an E flat 5, not to be confused with scale degree 5. Yeah, mix it up plus runs. Runs would be the fast things, like I was doing before. Those little things. I'm going to call those runs. What feel? Yeah, that's straight. 4/4. Yeah, about 120. So we have 2 out of 3 is 120. 120 seems like it's going to be a safe bet. If I want to do something that is in time. Harmony chord progression. Yeah, it's drones. So that's the whole premise of the idea of Indian classical music, is you have these like, and I'm gonna put my pedal on. It creates a drone. It creates a sustained note underneath everything that gives everything else context. In the same way chords give melody context, and in the same way that a lowest note gives everything above that lowest note context. What we have here is we have these drones. So like in this Super Mario Bros. Wii, it's like the first drone is just basically just a D5. It's a D power chord. And then it goes to an E flat 5 drone. So it's like just 2 notes kind of underlying everything that's going on, and everything else just creates tension and resolution relative to that drone, relative to that sustained, implied, and sustained and implied harmony. Melodies, pitch bend, and then mix modes. If we've learned one thing from these 3 different themes, it's mix modes, and you're gonna be okay. Yeah, like a sick groove too. I like the sick groove. Notes, mode, mixture. Okay, so we now have quite a bit of synthesis here, quite a few high-level principles. So I'm going to talk you through the principles, and then we'll jump into the next lesson. I'll give myself a time limit. I'll probably give myself 30 minutes, maybe 45, to create my own, and we'll rock and roll from there. So here we go. High-level principles. Number 1, it's like you can use basically an A and a B section, but everything is flowing. Right? It's not a strict A-B section in the same way that we heard, for example, in the town theme. It's a very flowy A-B section. Time signature, 4/4 if we're going to use a time signature. Tempo, 120 seems to be a safe bet to get us in that sort of zone. What key? Mix it up. You can use a drone for the key, but then in terms of an actual scale you're going to use, you're pretty safe, it looks like, with a mixolydian flat 2. So that's going to be 1 flat 2, 3, that's the major third, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and then back to 1 is going to be the notes that are going to encapsulate that feeling of the lava and the volcano. It was straight 8ths in the 4/4. And in terms of harmony, drone. So in the Zelda, the drone basically was the wind. Then we heard an E mixolydian drone in the Mario 64. And now here in the Volcano theme, again, we're hearing a drone. Now, melodies, flat 2s, 6s, 7s, 4s, flat 2s, 3s, lots of flat 2s, flat 7s, some flat 6s coming in from Zelda, which was interesting. And then like sus4/7 arpeggios. So think about if you have a sus4/7 chord, breaking it up and then adding in a flat 2, using sitar pitch bend, and then mixing modes. Instruments, we're going to be definitely looking at using Indian instruments. And then I really liked what the Super Mario Bros. Wii thing did, where it had kind of like a sick groove going on with it, with like a drum kit. Big fan. And some little voices added in here and there. And adding in some bass synth, wooden percussion, sitar, drums. So those are our principles. I will see you in the next lesson, where I'm going to talk you through and walk you through as I create my very first lava theme and volcano theme using what we just learned here. I'll see you there. I am now going to compose at the very least an A section. I'm going to try and push it and get through also a B section as well of my very first volcano or lava theme. We're going to start the clock now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a groove. I really liked what I heard in that Mario Wii one. So I'm going to pull up a drum kit and actually build things out with the drum kit and then add in a couple things. And then I'm going to build out the melody and the drone from there. And the reason I want to do it in this order, and the reason why I want to start from a groove in this case, is if we think about it, all of these pieces didn't really have a melody. Yes, there were melodies, but there wasn't like a melody that was like telling a story. If you feel me. Like, they were very groove-based for me is where I want to go here. So I'm going to grab myself my drummer. Doesn't matter. We're going to move fast. And when I tell myself I'm going to move fast, it's to keep myself moving, because otherwise I'm going to get caught up in creating, all kinds of teeny tiny little fun stuff. Something like that. Now, I'm not sure. I might be exactly copying that Mario groove. Remember, kids, grooves are not copyrightable. Melodies are. Yeah, too much. So this is kit, and then what I want to do is I'm going to actually layer. It's going to take time. Let's see if we can get a different kick off of this. There we go. Okay, mixer. Okay, our kicks. Ooh. That has some nasty low end on it. Okay, that's gonna be our groove. I'm gonna go back and listen to the Mario again. So like we need something on the... Oops, I might have just brought the velocity up of everything there. Just want to get these guys up to scotch. And yeah, there's a bit more to the groove, but again, I'm doing a rough draft here, so we're going to move quickly, and I'm going to keep reminding myself of that. Okay, now... Yeah, because look, I can spend another 10 minutes just building this drum groove out. I'm not going to. I'm going to bring up now my Indian instruments, and I'm going to grab a tambura, a sitar. I'm going to lay some tabla in, is what I'm going to do too. That'll be a good idea. All right, let's start with the tabla. Do it. Now, you know what I love about this? It's just like some preloaded loops. Yes, please. I don't need to hear anything else. You had me at yes. Like, yes. Like, please. And thank you. Oh, goodness. I do love a loop sometimes. And let's mix these puppies over here. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay out... This is going to be our A section. Our A section is going to be 16 measures. We're going to do a 16 measure B section. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slightly change the groove for our B section. Nah, too much. Yeah, so we got the boy. And then we're just going to have this thing loop. We're going to do an 8 measure. Yeah. No, we'll do a 60 measure B section. All right, so I'm going to change the groove slightly here in the drums. Make a little bit more space for the tabla to stand out. And I'm going to test just one or two other ideas here. Yeah, then we'll be back to our A section. All right, cool beans. All right, let's get a tambura in here, or a tampura, depending on how you want to spell it. I'm going to spell it tambura. You can spell it however you like. I'm going to put it right over here. And I'm going to create a drone. And I liked going to the flat 2. The idea of going to the flat 2. I forget which one went to the flat 2, but I like the idea of going to the flat 2 there. Oh, yeah. We're doing it. If we have time, we'll do an intro too. So I'm doing a slightly groovified version of what the tambura would play. Normally just don, 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 don. But because we're doing kind of like a little groovy thing here, maybe we just started on the downbeat every time. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna bring these puppies up half step. We'll go to the flat 2 in the B section. There was a time in my life where I wouldn't use loops. Like, I insisted on programming every single thing. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, if I find a loop that's like getting me 80, 90% of the way there. I'm like, great. Let's just do that. I don't know if it's a maturity thing. I don't know if it's a getting lazy thing. You can pick what you think it is, but hey, there you go. Now for our melody, I want to do something with the sitar in the A section. I want to do something with 𝗺𝘺𝘃𝗃𝗃 in the B section. I had to record this. I'm having fun. That was something. So I'm leaving some of this unquantized. All right, let's do something with 𝗺𝘺𝘃𝗃𝗃 in there. I'm not totally in love with that sitar, but we're doing quick. We're just doing a rough draft here. Like, it's okay. It's not like, let's grab ourselves a 𝗺𝘺𝘃𝗃𝗃. Okay, I like part of that. We're gonna keep part of that. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Like that. The rest of this, nope. Right. Done. All right, so let's add some organ in here for the groove. We may get rid of that 𝗺𝘺𝘃𝗃𝗃 if we get this organ to groove enough. Organ's an interesting choice. I'm actually going to put a harmonium here instead because it technically is kind of like it's a reed organ and it's an Indian classical music instrument. We are live and on the clock. Okay, we're going to do like a 5th groove here. Not to be confused with a pithy groove, but a 5th groove. That might also be pithy. Right. Hurry up. All right, let's get some groove with that. It's like now it's starting to sound like something. I feel like I really lost my way there for a second. Quickly. Someone get me a bass. Get me a bass. Someone get me a bass. Quick, any bass will do. It doesn't matter what bass, just get me a bass. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. just gonna repeat that. That was not exactly what I wanted to play or have, but we're moving quickly. Moving quickly. Lengthen all these guys out. So already right there, that's actually not too bad. I'm gonna adjust this groove here a little bit, this riff thing. Nah, maybe we just do something else. All right, now let's get a groove with the bass going here. A little bit longer there. It's sounding a little bit better now. All right, let's listen to what that sounds like. All right, that is working a little bit. All right, we may need to just program this in because my piano playing is not doing it. 𝗺𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. Right there. Yep. Let's start with that. Baby, take it down. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm not really hearing a clear idea in my head. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna play with this until it sounds cool. Yes, mixing major and minor there, some mode mixture. build that out. Bum, 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 digga, digga. Then do something major right here. I want these 16th notes. And so what I'm doing is I can feel the thing that I want to say, but I'm not quite sure what it is in my head. And so I'm just kind of messing around until I get that feeling. Hey, yeah. All right, we're starting to groove now. I'm gonna write something else in here for this. This is starting to sound cool. Yes. And so sometimes it's okay if you can't actually hear the idea in your head, but you have the feeling. It's like, go figure that feeling out. Let's do something like round C. We might be a little early here too. Yeah, let's repeat that. End on the third, why not? So what I'm thinking here is I'm thinking again that idea of tonicizing around the 5. We're in the key of F now, so I'm like going around the C. Dum dum boom bum is what I want it to do. Dum 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 dum. Pads. We need some pads. Maybe not necessarily here. But here. We need a little something. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna say pads B section. Let's see. I want something real quick here. Yeah, give me alchemy. This is like a logic. I mean, obviously the layering and stuff that's going on, man, if I had a couple more hours to really dial things in. But I also don't want to make this too long and then you're bored and you're not watching it anymore. So let's go with pads, please. Also sounds like it's got stacked fifths within it too, which is pretty cool. Let's make sure this is even. There we go. All right, just think a little different this second time. Sure. Okay. I want to do a bass double and get that kind of like, oi, kind of sound thing. And yeah, I'm not going to take time to adjust these. I'm just going to grab something that like kind of works. Or maybe we're going to do that. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna grab us another pad thing for the harmonium double. I'm gonna double the harmonium. And so whenever I have the itch to add a new thing, I'm just gonna double something instead of adding something else. Because if I add more elements or doing more things, it's just gonna complicate the thing. Dialing reverb back. All right, I'll just put a pad in. Another pad, like a lower pad. I'm gonna grab this. I'm just gonna bring everything down an octave. And I'm gonna grab something a little rhythmic, quickly. Okay, let's try that. Let's hear the transition. What if the very first time we do this, we have the harmoniums play, so there isn't just that big gap of silence? Let's try that out. And even sometimes like that, just doing one thing that's different in the transition, one time different in one instrument can make all the difference. All right, let's see how we're doing on our time here. With 1 minute left to go, let's do a quick mix. I'm gonna take that little da-da-da-da out of there. It's a cool idea, but it's distracting, I'm finding. All right, cool. That's our time. Perfect, right on time. All right, let's listen one time through. I'm gonna put a little mastering on this thing. Yeah, mix is very rough. Yeah, so could probably use some transition material coming out of the B section to get us back into the A section. Right now it's a bit of a hard jump. Cool. Obviously, like everything else we've done in this series, this could use another 2 or 3 days worth of fiddling and dialing and getting everything just the way I want it. But here you go. Rough draft, my first ever lava volcano theme. Now you go do the same and share your work with me. I'll see you in the next lesson.